Hmm. Um, I guess there were times when I was disappointed because I felt like people didn't really engage with some of the core arguments of the book. A lot of people, for instance, said that the book wasn't tough enough on the Palestinian leaders, and I think that that was just not a fair reading of the book. I mean, the book called Yasser Arafat's role in the Second Intifada a crime, said very clearly that that he deserves a lot of blame for the failure of the Oslo peace process, and that Israelis have very, very good reason to worry about not only Hamas, but whether even other Palestinian leaders would make the compromises on the right of refugee return necessary for a two-state solution. So that was, for me, disappointing to some degree. And sometimes I was just struck by the level of personal hostility sometimes. But I guess, on the other hand, I also felt that the level of personal investment in this issue by some of my critics, in a strange way, also binds me to them, because their level of personal investment is so deep because they feel this in their gut as a thing that keeps them up at night, and it keeps me up at night as well. And I think what I and some of my fiercest critics share is a very deep gut-level concern and commitment to the Jewish people, and I wrote this book out of that concern, although it may lead us to different policy views and very different senses of where Israel is going and where it should be going. I at least feel like, strangely, in the vehemence of our argument, we are, through that argument, showing that we actually care about the same thing. I sometimes worry, frankly, that many, many younger American Jews don't even really care that much either way or the other. And in some ways, it's easier for me to deal with people who actually care very deeply, even if they fundamentally disagree with me. I mean, after all, I grew up in a family where many members of my own family fundamentally disagreed with me about these things, and continue to disagree with me and let me know very clearly they disagree with me. So that disagreement itself is nothing new. It's, in some ways, it's indifference, which sometimes worries me even more. Look, I certainly don't think the book is perfect or infallible at all, but it did represent my best effort. Although I take the criticism seriously, I haven't really read a lot of them that I feel like change my core view. I do think that one thing that I should have stressed more than I did was the trauma on Israeli Jewish society of the Second Intifada between roughly 2000 and 2004. I mentioned, I talked about it a little bit, and I certainly noted that Israeli politics moved to the right as a result of the Second Intifada and the withdrawal from Gaza, which I think is certainly true. But I don't think I did enough to convey the depth of the trauma in Israeli society of the Second Intifada. The numbers of Israelis killed may not have equaled something like, the Yom Kippur War of 1973, but the randomness of the violence, the fact that you couldn't get on a bus or go into a pizza parlor without thinking that you might be blown up, something that I heard from my Israeli friends at the time, I think it did have a profound impact on the Israeli Jewish psychology, and I don't think I quite conveyed that horror as much as I should have. It's also true that the Second Intifada was an enormous horror for the Palestinians, and has had profound impacts on Palestinian politics as well. And I probably could have done more to convey that too. But I think, given that more of my book was about the changes in Israeli Jewish society, that was probably the more significant element that I didn't emphasize as much as I should have.